to talk about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy should always be avoided. Abstinence is the key for all teenagers. Young girls in high school have many responsibilities and activities that keep them busy. Having a child would take away any free time or any extra activities you attended. Staying abstinent would be the easy way. Many times, pregnant teenagers drop out of school and give up on their education. Teenage pregnancy has many dangers and consequences that young girls and guys aren't ready for at such a young age. Stay abstinent until you have your life in order and an education before giving a child all your undivided attention. The information in this speech is being presented to warn young teenagers of the dangers of teenage pregnancy. My credibility includes first-hand experience and familiarity in research conducted from many different sources. Despite education in our school systems, at home, and initiatives through the government, teenage pregnancy is still an ongoing problem with serious consequences. First, teenage pregnancy is a major problem because young teenagers don't know what consequences follow teenage pregnancy. Second, this problem has not been solved because it isn't a law to stay abstinent until marriage, therefore young teenagers have unprotected sex. Third, I plan to solve this problem through having more education and focus on abstinence with teenagers and more education on prevention of teenage sex. Teenage pregnancy is still a rising problem in today's society. Any teenage girl that is pregnant between the ages of 13 and 19, in 2012, 305,000 babies were born to teenage mothers. The U.S. has the highest rate of teenage pregnancy. Nearly 4 out of 10 teenage girls get pregnant before the age of 20. The overall U.S. pregnancy rate is on the decline, but is still too high in the United States today. Even though the U.S. pregnancy rate is lower, it is still a major problem among teens. New Mexico has the highest teenage pregnancy rate in the U.S. Hispanic teens' pregnancy rate remains twice as high among all other races. Teenage pregnancy rates are decreasing due to preventative education in our schools. Due to lack of support, teenagers still become pregnant today. This problem still exists because of the lack of support. It has not been fixed or addressed because of the lack of education and family support. Some schools don't have a primary focus on sex education. Due to little family support and social economical status, teenagers have a higher pregnancy rate. Lack of access to birth control is also a major problem. Causes of the problem would be loneliness, to stay in a relationship, and no sex education. Some teenagers think having a baby will keep them from being lonely. Teenagers think having a child will make their boyfriend stay with them. With no sex education, teenagers don't have safe sex. Teenagers do not realize the consequences of teenage pregnancy. More sex education in the schools will help prevent teenage pregnancies. These programs focus on promoting comprehensive and abstinence until marriage education, having a designated class period during school for sex education, helping teens gain access to contraceptives, promoting abstinence to teenagers in the school. They can form an abstinence program in all schools. They can elect officers to be a part of the club. They can have meetings twice a week, and they can have a thing that abstinence is the new way to go. With more education and support, teenage pregnancy can be decreased. If teenagers attend community centers, they could have designated classes for sex education. They could have group therapy where teenage moms came and talked about their hardships, and they could also have a support leader. If teenagers take pills for birth control and a birth control shot, they will prevent teenage pregnancy from happening. Birth control pills are the main source for teenagers who are having unprotected sex. A shot is given to keep teenagers from getting pregnant also. Mandate that the school systems have a sex education program, preferably abstinence or contraceptives. Despite the ongoing efforts to reduce teenage pregnancy, the numbers are still on the rise. In today's world, the pressure for teenagers to engage in sexual activity is strong. Therefore, we must provide education and programs for these young teens. These programs must not only provide education and programs on abstinence and contraceptives, but also on the emotional and physical aspects of sexual intercourse. Teenagers have a lot of peer pressure related to sex today. We must educate not only on preventing, but also on how to say no. Teens feel that they would be outcasted by their friends if they do not engage in early sexual activity. Therefore, while promoting sex education and prevention, we must also educate on how to safely fit in and say no to sex. Some schools only focus on abstinence programs, but promoting all types of sex education and prevention will help to decrease the number of teenage pregnancies in society today. Some teenagers drop out of school and never get the proper education on prevention of teenage pregnancy. Not only teaching prevention and education in schools, but in community centers, churches, and local youth organizations will help to teach more teenagers. We must use focused education, especially in high-risk areas, to help reduce the number of teenage pregnancies. Here are some pictures of teenage pregnancy. Here's a story of a young, good teenage girl. I remember uttering those words for the first time to the guy I was with. I was 15, in love, doing well in school, had an after-school job, and not a care in the world. I was also sexually active. I had been since I was a freshman in high school. I vividly recall the first guy I slept with, tall, strapping, and popular with the ladies, and for some reason he liked me. Or so I thought. Even when he told me, if you get pregnant, you'll have to deal with it. I looked at him starry-eyed and did not utter a single word. I hated the way I looked. I lived in a home with 8 other people, and the idea that this tall, good-looking guy wanted me instead of the other girls, well, that was worth anything. I equated his touch with specialness. When I was with him, all the loathing I felt about my appearance and the sadness I felt at home disappeared. I wasn't just one of those other girls. After all, he said he loved me, and he wouldn't have sex with me if he didn't, right? Well, I did have to deal with it. I became pregnant by that first guy, and family pressures led me to have an abortion. Lesson learned right then and there. Guess again. Next was the guy I really thought I was in love with. This first true love dumped me for a cheerleader in my class about 3 weeks after we slept together. About 9 months later, I was a junior in high school with straight A's and in honors classes. I still had my after-school job, and yes, I still was sexually active. My latest boyfriend was this guy I'd met about 2 months before through a friend of a friend. Lesson still not learned. Here I was once more, kissing, touching, words of love. One day I don't get my period. No big deal. I think I'm very physically active. I'm just late is all. One day turns into a week, and then 2, and then 3. I had now officially known my boyfriend 9 weeks. Do I tell him? Do I go to the doctor? What if my family finds out? I finally break down and ask a friend to go with me to the drugstore, too terrified to ask my very old-fashioned grandparents for help. Our house was a house where you didn't ask and you weren't told. After all, they were raised that way, so why not raise us that way too? We went to Eckert's under the guise of needing a pair of pantyhose, and with great embarrassment, I asked the pharmacist for a test. I ran home with the sacred box, hidden under my shirt, and locked myself in the bathroom. Those 3 minutes were the longest, most painfully anxious moments in my young life. I couldn't bear to look at first, and then slowly I turned my head and saw the bright pink X staring me right in the face. At first I was disbelieving. I think I sat in the bathroom for an hour, just staring at this white stick with the big pink X. My heart was in my throat, my pulse was racing, my stomach was doing flip-flops. Instinctively, my hand went toward my belly. I removed my top and stared at my flat stomach in the mirror and tried to fathom it's getting big and round. And then I realized that all these consequences of having a baby at such a young age. Here's a graph of the teenage pregnancy rates. Here's some facts about teenage pregnancy. 3 in 10 teen American girls will get pregnant at least once before age 20. That's nearly 750,000 teen pregnancies every year. Parenthood is the leading reason that teen girls drop out of school. More than 50% of teen mothers never graduate from high school. Aid young parents by starting a babysitters club so they can take GED classes. Sign up for Babysitters Club. About 25% of teen moms have a second child within 24 months of their first baby. Less than 2% of teen moms earn a college degree by age 30. The United States has one of the highest teen pregnancy rates in the Western industrialized world. In 2011, the teen birth rate in the United States fell to the lowest level recorded in nearly 70 years of tracking teen childbearing. In 2008, the teen pregnancy rate among African American and Hispanic teen girls aged 15 to 19 was over 2.5 times higher than the teen pregnancy rate among white teen girls of the same age group. Thank you.